So good evening, everybody. So today is Sunday and the weekend is almost over. Now, over this weekend, most of us, most people, whether you have went to church, synagogue, mosque, whether you went to your spiritual center or you've been to a march and you've heard civic leaders of the NAACPs and SCLCUs and whatnot give their speeches, whether you've listened to politicians give their speeches, what you have heard this weekend has been a lot of rhetoric. And what that rhetoric has basically said, and everybody pretty much got the same line, is we need to do something. We need to change the love and the affection of people towards people. We need prayer. We need visuals. We need God to step in and change the hearts of men. And I'm not going against those things. But let me tell you what we really need. What we really need are those who have voices of influence to be able to stand up, and not just stand up and have something to say, but stand up and have something to do. Something to do. I was just explaining to a young lady a few minutes ago, as we were conversating, we spoke about how economic empowerment is the great equalizer within a community. And the thing about it is that Rand Paul said that, and most of you may not listen to him, but understand what he said. He said that the reason why so many black American males cannot vote is because they have a felony from a drug charge, either drug use or drug paraphernalia, whatever, or drug distribution. But what he did say is that there are more white people who actually are involved in drug use, drug paraphernalia, drug distribution than there are black people, but there are way more disproportionate amount of convictions and convictions in the African American community. Why? He expressed that the reason why is because the police know that it is easier for them to go into a lower income neighborhood and pull those people and arrest those people than it is to go into a more affluent suburban neighborhood. Why? Because economics is the difference maker. In a suburban neighborhood, the economics are there to get the lawyers to be able to win out on the cases, whereas that doesn't happen in the lower income areas. And African Americans are disproportionately more in a lower economic area than in a higher economic area. This is the problem. So now you may have heard, and then he went on with the basic rhetoric. We need to change the perception, change the law, change how judges are doing that. And that is true. We do need to change that. But more than anything, the biggest way we can change that is change the economic standing, equalize the economic picture, which is the thing that I am not hearing. You see, Dr. King in his last years started talking about economic empowerment, building black communities economically, and shopping in areas that are concerned with building the black community economically, increasing pay, getting people into more professional professional careers. Those were the things he started talking about during his last year, and those are the things that probably got him killed. But what we don't hear any leadership talking about that, doing that. Now, I'm talking about it, and I've begun the process, but at a embryonic stage. So let me ask you a question. I want you to do this, and I know some of you right now are saying that, well, my pastor at my church, he or she, they do this. But be honest. How often do they do it? They do it once a year, twice a year, 3 times a year. I guarantee you this. They understand how important repetition is, which is why every Sunday, every Saturday, every Friday, depending upon what it is, every Wednesday, they talk about tithes and offering. If a pastor truly believes that they can be effective by talking about economic empowerment 2 to 3 times a year, I asked that same pastor, only talk about tithes and offering 2 or 3 times a year. I guarantee they won't do it. The reason why, because they know how important the repetition is. If you were a spiritual leader, how about let me play to your ego. If you wanted to create a mega church environment, this is the easiest way for you to do this right now. See, right now you're selling hope and prayer, and people are buying into that, but it's kind of difficult now to become a mega preacher based on that, because you already have so many there, and there's only room for so many. So here's another avenue of approach to get people to join your church. And here's the thing, once they join, you can then teach them what you want to teach them. But understand this, people gravitate to environments that provide for their necessary needs. So if you were a church and you took all your business owners in your church and you said, hey, we're going to promote you every week. We're going to take 2 minutes to promote you every week to the congregation. We're going to tell the congregation to go shop at these businesses that are church members. And then you're going to tell those business owners, as your company starts to grow, because you're now getting the actual support of the church and the church congregation, we want you to dedicate and promise to hire from the church congregation. All right. So now you're circulating the money in your church. Now, the more people in your church have jobs and are being paid, and the more business owners in your church are making more money, will pay more money in tithes and offerings. So the church then receives even more money from the donations. Now, church, think about this. The money that you have, go buy a plaza. With that plaza, you establish a bookstore in a for-profit format. Now, you have a business training program to get people into entrepreneurship. Open up a business in that plaza. They are now paying rent to that plaza. They're also paying back money on the loan that you gave them in order to get that plaza. To start that business. And now the money for the for-profit is donated to your non-profit entity of the church. So you're circulating the money within your church. Again, this will not violate the laws. I'm sure you have a tax attorney or in your church, so go ask for yourself. But if you do this, you're now building the community. And when other people on the outside see this is going on, they will gravitate towards your church. And the more those people come to your church, then you are growing your church, and you can then continue to grow your ministry as well. Also, this will give the church an ability to be able to do more missionary outreach work, because you have more cash flow coming in, because every minister understands that they can't do nothing without cash flow. So now imagine if the churches in every community did this. It will solve many issues within every community. Imagine if organizations like the NAACP and the SCLCU and the Urban League got together, and they have the infrastructure and the power right now to create Black Wall Streets instantly. They could do it right now if they were bold enough to take this step. But the problem is that they're not. I spoke to a leader of one of these organizations for a very long time, and she presented this to them, and they would not do it. I spoke to some leaderships of different churches for a very long time, and they would not do it. They're not bold enough to do it, which means that maybe we need new leadership. But I'm looking for that 1 or 2 pastors, imams, who's willing to do this, willing to come alongside, and I will do as much as I possibly can to institute the programs so that they can do this and build financial economic power within their community. And yes, one of the benefits is that your congregation will grow. So if we want to do something real, because these marches, they're great for flash, but that's all it is. If we want to do something real, this is what we do. This is one part of what we do. Y'all have a great day. My greatness is non-negotiable, and so is yours.